All right. So what's the motivation for online data collection and management? So when I started out as a PhD student at Maastricht University, I didn't have data. I mean, I had data for my first project, which my advisor gave me. But when I had to work on my second research project, I just didn't have data. And I also didn't have so much money to buy data or contacts to collaborate with a company. And then I was interested in music. And I found this amazing website with data from the music industry. So this is Last.fm, and Last.fm is and was a platform where people share what they kind of listen. It's kind of the Spotify long before Spotify was invented, but it didn't allow you to stream music, but it was kind of tracking what music you consumed on iTunes or, you know, whatever other software. Winamp was big, I think, and when I grew up. So, you know, what kind of music you consume when you're in the computer. And I used the service to collect data on music consumption. But there were no established best practices about how to scrape. I learned it all by myself. I made many mistakes, and scraping and APIs, they're extremely undervalued in the academic, you know, job market. Some people think that data is cheap, you can get data, and it's like very costless to like collaborate with a company, or maybe you can just inherit data sets from your advisors if you're, you know, doing a PhD. So, you know, and I firmly disagree with this. I think actually it's one of the best skills you can have, because you're able to quickly, well, not quickly, but to generate data on stuff that other people aren't able to get access to. And it has a key role in shaping how relevant your work is, like how much people love to read it, and also how well executed your work is, the rigor of your work. And scraping today is a large part of what defines me and my research agenda. And I almost got sued for conducting to scrape. So I really took a lot of risks, but I think now it's the time to pass on these skills and also like inform you about what these risks are. Because some people out there on the internet, like LinkedIn, for example, they're gonna strictly oppose you making copies of their website. And if you search for, you know, LinkedIn hack, for example, LinkedIn hack scraping 2021, because that just happened, that's exactly that, right? So LinkedIn scraping of 700 million records. So there was a guy, it could have been a student in my class, but I don't think it was, said he grabbed 700 million profiles for fun, right? And this was publicized as a big hack, but all that this person did is programmed a little, you know, software that goes to, you know, one's network or searches for people at Tilburg University by like programmatically filling in stuff. And then, I don't know, there's probably going to be some people stuff going on. Where is that? Co-workers. I don't know. There's probably going to be a tab, jobs, my employer life. I don't find it, but there should probably be something of interest to people to kind of start scraping 700 million records. I don't know, right? So this is what can happen. And obviously LinkedIn opposes it strictly. So it's very important that you learn how to navigate the fine line between what is acceptable for research purposes, what is acceptable for business purposes, and what is like totally not acceptable, all right? So here's a little selection of stuff that I did. So I investigated music streaming with this website of Spotify. If you're interested in it, there's a study. I think you can just click on the link. I should have done this. Yes, exactly. There's a little study out there which you can read. And if you go through my website, I think there are also videos if you're interested in learning more about the study. I also monitored the user interface of Spotify. So if you open Spotify, let me just do that real quick. By the way, yeah, so here we go. So this is my Spotify client. And, you know, when I look for new music, I sometimes click on the, you know, search bar, and then I get my top genres and some categories. And, you know, when I'm into, you know, dance, I mean, Spotify, right? You get popular playlists, and sometimes, the top 4 or 5 don't do it, and I'll, scroll down. This is somewhat how I explore stuff. And I thought, well, isn't this like advertisement, or promotions, anything like this, right? So Spotify somewhat makes choices on what to show. There are millions of playlists on Spotify. Why does Spotify pick those? And then what you see too is, this little Spotify icon up on the upper left corner, which means like all of these playlists on here, they're curated by Spotify. So Spotify decides what gets on this list and what not. But actually, when you search for, let's say, coffee house, you'll end up seeing playlists that are not curated by Spotify. For example, Coffee House Jazz is curated by Sozo playlist. It's not Spotify. So here it's somebody else that takes care of this curation. It may be a music label, it may be some artist, it may be like an influencer. We don't know, right? But when you go on the search and you just search for a music category, so again, search, where is it? And dance and electronic, all you see is Spotify stuff. And I got interested in this, and why? And I found a website. It's called everynoise.com/world browser, which, so it happens, in real time displays what kind of playlists are shown in which country in the Spotify client. So if you scroll down to the Netherlands, let me go to the dance category. Where is it? Dance, electronic, and the website kind of slow, but let me just do this. And we go through the Netherlands. If you're in a different country, Netherlands, summer dance 360, feeling good, and you can compare it. Summer dance, feeling good. So that's the one. So I found a way to monitor the decisions of what Spotify puts in the spotlight and whatnot. And I'm working right now on a study to shed light on how powerful digital platforms like Spotify are compared to the ones that publish music, like music artists, right? On the one hand, you could say like, yeah, music artists, they earn a lot of money because they can get discovered on Spotify. That's one side of the coin. But on the other hand, it could just be that the promotion decisions that Spotify make are bad for artists. And Spotify doesn't share any data about this, but with the study, I'm able to still shed light on this. I collected almost the comprehensive like playlist ecosystem from a company called Chartmetric. So Chartmetric is a data analytics firm that tracks like artists, playlists, and radio stations and these kind of things. And they have an API which looks like this. And it's basically an official way to get data from a firm. That's what it distinguishes with web scraping. Like web scraping is unofficial. You can do it without asking for permission. For APIs, you have to have permission from the company. You just sign up, have a lock-in, or pay some money, subscription fee, and you can get data. For example, you can get, a list of all playlists on Spotify, and I'll put it in the chat. Just browse this documentation. It's super clear up doc, and I use this to retrieve data on playlists. And then I stitch these data sets together. I scraped reviews at Amazon, and you can follow the link for the study. I'm not a co-author, but I was a research assistant when I did it. So maybe if you're talented in scraping, you can become a research assistant too. And I just started investigating the streaming wars. I mean, you know that yourself. I don't know how many subscriptions you have. Who has more than one like movie streaming subscription? Like, Netflix, Amazon Prime, I don't know, Videoland, and all these kind of things. I do, yeah. Jeroen, why do you have more subscriptions than one? Probably because of content, right? There's like this one superstar show that you want to watch, or maybe your friends are talking about. Good. And we're trying to analyze with like new data, what kind of content you need to offer to be able to get new subscribers in a market where people are willing to have multiple subscriptions. Who are the winners and losers? And we can simulate, for example, what would happen if, Disney Plus was going to rejoin Netflix in like a giant streaming service. What would that do to, I don't know, market shares of Amazon or Hulu Plus? Most of my code is on GitHub. Just click on it. And I wrote a tutorial paper on the basis of last year's class, and right now I'm revising this paper and I'm experimenting with like new content in this class. This is, let's say, the scraping Bible in a sense, because it was written because of this class, it's written for this class, and it's written for a junior audience, and it will be even more targeted towards like, youngsters, to learn how to scrape and see the value of scraping. So just go through this website and download the paper, and you may want to print it, or you may just keep it as a PDF, I don't care. But this is going to be one of those leading stuff that like keep things together in this class, right? It is very important. And I'll put actually, I think I made a short link. If you go to tunu.scraping, that takes you to the paper directly, I hope. All right, but what is scraping really? I mean, you kind of get the gist here. So scraping is something about like, I don't know, you get data, right? So with web scraping, you can essentially capture anything you can view in a web browser. And I'll show you real quick how it works by opening Chrome. Let me just see where that is. Got Chrome here. So for example, if you open the Tilburg University page, which is maybe not the best example, but let me go with it. You see this page, but what your computer sees is if you press Command U or Control U in Chrome on any website. Damn, it didn't work. Control U, where is it? I thought it was Control U. Let me see. Where is that source code? Let me see. That's more tools, developer tools. Use source code, website, shortcut. So this is me trying to Google Control U. That's what I said. Oh, it's Firefox. Okay, so let me open it in Firefox. I'm like not married to Chrome. So let me see, Control U, there we go. So you see the source code of a website. So stuff that you can see visually is always available in written text, all right? And when you scrape, you make copies of the source code of a website, and then you tell the web scraper where to look for information. Right-click in your browser right now and click on Inspect. Do that. Open Firefox, but it works with Chrome too. Right-click in your browser, wherever you are, click on Inspect. And then mostly there is like a little icon down here where you can select elements. It's going to look like this, right? And just click on one item. So again, what I did is I did right-click, Inspect, and I click on pick an element from the page, and in Chrome, it's going to look a little different, I think. So let me do it in Chrome. Right click, inspect. It's exactly the same thing, actually. It looks a little different. It's the icon up here, and you can also select, right? So, and in doing so, you can actually see where stuff is located on the website. So let's do that. So let's go here, and let's go to the title of the opening of the academic year. And you can see that this is tagged as the epic text block intro. So this is the keyword that you need. And you can tell your web scraper to say, hey, give me the text that's attached to the class of the name epic text block intro. And then you can write a scraper and write down this little text in a CSV file, in an Excel file, or whatever you're working with, right? Something really fun that you can do too is change this text, right? Say, hi, students of oDCM, which is going to render like this. You know, you can learn how source code maps into what people can see on the site. So, you know, just play around with it a little bit to kind of get a feeling between switching between a visual view and the code view, and you can pick those elements. Anything that you can fetch with your mouse button, you can scrape and take copies of, okay? So let me go back. So in the literature, many people have done this with pricing data, for example, at bol.com, or review data at Amazon. And think about this also in a little more complex way, not just like what a product costs, but I don't know, what am I interested in? Let me Amazon Basics. Let me just go here. And you can go to the review page. You see the ratings, and you get an overview about all of those ratings that have been given. And you can also write a scraper that loops, that runs through this. Take the first one and copy it. Okay, take the next one and copy it. Take the next one and copy it, and so forth and so on. And like this, you can just build like a data set of what people think and talk about a brand. This is what people have done in marketing 10 years ago. So it's not gonna like get you published if you're interested in becoming an academic like I am. But you may want to look for different stuff, which is like super hard. So for example, you can see that some brands, they try to pay their way up in the search ranks. And I have never seen a study that looks at this at Amazon. So, if you were to monitor the Amazon Basic brand and see which brands buy themselves on top, you could run a study on like, why do certain brands pay to get visibility? This is just one idea. With APIs, different from scraping, you obtain official data from a firm in a programmatic way. So you also call a URL in your browser a website address, but you don't see like a visual website, but what you see is essentially some code that you can then take a copy of and analyze. And as a researcher, that's like super valuable because you can construct data sets from analytics firms, for example. I'll show that in a few examples. So let's think about web scraping, right? So here's a little web scraper. So how you do this in Python is actually just through a couple lines of code. And there's going to be a tutorial on it. This is not the tutorial. This is the preview, right? So you first import a package. It's called requests because this is the module in Python that knows how to call websites. Python is like clean in a way when you open it. It's like a powerful calculator, right? But by importing packages, you can teach Python to do new stuff. I mean, you can even use Python to program robots or run website servers. It's so versatile. We use it to scrape the web. And then what we do is we call a particular URL. So we're importing a package, and we have a URL that we want to scrape. And let me open this URL. I'll put it in the chat. So this is one of the websites where I teach you scraping. It's a fake website. It looks like it doesn't look like Amazon, but it's like supposed to teach you how to scrape Amazon, right? But then without getting in trouble. So you see like books and browse through the pages, and this is one of the things in which you will learn how to scrape. And then you can write that variable. You can execute this call, and you can look at the content of this website by printing it to the screen, for example. And right now we're making a selection of a couple of characters that we want to print out. And you kind of see that, at this position, we have identified the product description. I mean, if you really want to get started, I guess what you do, and you haven't done the software installation, you can go to colab@research.google.com and just, that wasn't it. Just go through this link. It's fire up, just fire up a new notebook and just copy the stuff that I've written. So here we go, import requests, do this. And this is my way of, teaching Python. Just run it, right? So let me do, boom. And now it's scraping this little website. I mean, it's taking one copy of it, and it's taking a long time. And I think it's done. And now we can print out what we got. Right? And now, I mean, this is not how you will actually end up doing scraping, but we can like fiddle around. Let's print more characters right here. And you can see that we took a copy of the source code. Right? It's not so cool yet, right? Because where's that title of that product? So we can use a package called Beautiful Soup, and it's turning the soup of source code into something that you can actually read. So let me just copy paste this one. Let me enter a new cell down here, and we're going to find whatever is hidden behind a tag word called H1. Let me go through this website to show you real quick what that means. And by the way, this is not the tutorial, this is a preview, right? And this is why I love Chrome and Firefox way more, because I'm unable to find the inspection mode. So let me go to Firefox right here and open it here. And click to A Light in the Attic, the name of this fake book. And you can see it's wrapped around a tag word called H1. Okay, so this is why I'm able to find the name of that book in my code in Colab. Right, so I scroll down again, and this is some of what I find. Was I going to change this for a different URL? So let me do this. A Light in the Attic. Let me go to a different book. Let me go The Black Maria. Just copy the URL, paste it here, and you'll see that when I run all of this code, okay, let me do it, boom, and boom, it knows the different title of that book. So that's a web scraper in its simplest terms, but you can go very complicated and you learn all about it. So what are APIs? So APIs are official interfaces by firms to extract or submit data or to obtain access to an algorithm. So one of those APIs that I really love is Cloud Vision API. So this is an API where you submit programmatically pictures to Google, and they tell you what's on that picture. All right. So what I'm going to do right now, and I'm not sure it works because I didn't test it. Oh, signing up. I don't have time for this. Oh, all right. Let me just find a picture. They have a demo here. So let me try that. And I first have to find a picture that I'm comfortable sharing. So let me see. Where do I have such a picture? Maybe I'll just, okay. Let me see. Tilburg. Where is this? I'm trying to sell stuff on Marktplaats. So let me just pick one of those things. So let me see whether that works. Yeah. Okay, here we go again. So I'm trying to sell JBL headphones, all right? And I'm not a robot. So picture you're an online platform and people can like freely put stuff on that website, like pictures, right? You want to avoid that they put stuff that don't comply to your terms of use. Okay, let me phrase it differently. You don't want them to post porn pics. You don't want them to post violent pictures, right? And you need a way to figure out whether your users post legit stuff. So this API identifies objects and, for example, tells you whether it's safe to put this picture on your platform. It's unlikely to be adult or spoof content. It's a little more likely to be medical, but it's still unlikely. Violence and racy, it's also not, right? Is there any text on it? You know, maybe if you have a platform and you want to enable search, free text search, this thing is trying to recognize text, and look how it zooms in. But JBL, okay, so you got the brand name recognized right here. Any logos in there? Yeah, JBL. And it has a confidence of 97% that this is the JBL brand logo. Any tag words? Drug, okay, does it look, yeah, maybe it looks like a pill case. I don't know, healthcare, but these are the tag words. So this is the API. This is the website of the API. But what you can do is you can just like programmatically send a picture and get back what is on this picture. And you can immediately use this for your operations at your firm. Extremely valuable. Is anybody using Reddit? Just put it in the chat. Anybody is using Reddit? So sometimes, okay. It's, yeah, I also just sometimes, I'm really not. But suppose you're interested in the marketing community. Well, actually I picked the, it doesn't matter. I picked the skating community here as an example. So let me just do this, or marketing, I don't care. This is the marketing community. And I mean, suppose you want to run a study where you need Reddit data. The Reddit API is actually super cool because the only thing I think that you need to do, and I need to check it out, is to write .json after any website. And you get all of this content on that website in source code. And this is not HTML source code. This is source code that you can immediately import in your stats program. Well, with a little bit of checks. Looks ugly in Chrome, in Safari. So let me go to Firefox and post the same thing. And Firefox automatically structures this input. So what you see is it's listing data. This is the data object. And this is the text. And you can like somewhat navigate these nodes and actually tell our code to extract this text of posts, for example. So this is where it looks like pretty much like web scraping. So with a little bit of code, you can get this. I will refrain from copy pasting this to Colab, but this is a little bit about how it works. The most important thing is that you don't have to invent this yourself, how to do this, but what you do is you just search for Reddit API or whatever API you're interested in. And typically you have a bunch of documentation that you can go, and I'll teach you how to read this documentation where you exactly know what kind of data you can get. All right. So what are the opportunities from web scraping that you may be able to get? As a researcher, and I hope I get you passionate about these things, is to discover and document new stuff. I mean, new stuff that people don't have any knowledge about. So when I started doing my research, that was Spotify. Nobody knew what it did to musicians or to consumers, and nobody was willing to sell me data. I asked even Spotify to give me data, but hell, they didn't give me any data. So I just constructed my own data set to shed light on stuff. So what are issues that you think are important today? I mean, put them in the chat right now. I'm curious to know, what are the big things? I mean, I wonder about filter bubbles. Like, how can it be that people get more and more radical, you know, in one way or the other, you know, that they, you know, get more and more convinced about their own opinion and they're unwilling to listen to others, you know? And, you know, one context in which you could study this is maybe, you know, TikTok. Students did this last year, actually. Of course, you should also study Tiger Cubs. But for example, why is it that I see these suggested accounts? Who else is seeing those accounts? You could just like start making copies of like the suggested accounts and try to see some patterns in there to understand the algorithm of TikTok. That's something students picked last year. Oh my God, that is funny. It also gives you improved data access and quality. I was a poor PhD student. I couldn't buy any data sets, so I constructed my own. But sometimes even there are people who don't want to give you data because they're afraid you're going to discover something that they don't like, right? So for example, when I study how powerful Spotify is compared to Sony and Universal, neither Sony or Universal are going to give me data, nor Spotify, because they don't want this answer to be out in the public. So I can just do it with scraped data. And why can I do it? Because it's a question that matters to society. Because if, you know, more and more people go online and digital platforms become more and more powerful and extract more and more money, what is it going to do to us? And what is it going to do to musicians? This is societally important. At least I care about this. You may care about gaming or whatever. I don't know what you care about, right? But whatever you care about, it's important to know how new digital technologies accesses, and not everybody will give you data. So you can just generate your own data sets. You can also use it to improve methods. So I'm a geek, I love stats, and sometimes we have these methods and they need to become better, but we just don't have the data to do this. So we knew in theory how to do text analysis, but hell, we didn't have access to like large bodies of text. But with scraping, we could just generate review data and analyze this and improve our tools to analyze text. And then the last point that I wanted to make is you can make your work more relevant. Like when you write your thesis, there's going to be a section on like managerial relevance, and it's going to be, in 9 out of 10 cases, it's going to be a little boring actually, because, you know, maybe you study stuff that managers are not interested in, or, you know, whatever. So with taking scraped data from websites that marketers care about, you have relevance built into your study, because this is the stuff that managers see on a daily basis anyways. So, you know, marketing had sales data for many years, and the first person that studied Facebook likes was looked like, oh, what do you study? But, you know, ultimately it became a very important dependent variable in many studies for the past decade or so. So I want to hear your inspiration about what you think are like cool things to study. And it can be anything. Platforms, it can be like a context of what you think is cool. Just give me a couple of ideas. This is also like the first phase of trying to, you know, see which like directions you go and like maybe find each other for projects. We're going to have a session about projects anyways, where there's more structured exchange, but I want to know what's hot right now. What services do you spend most of your time on? Come on, the chat can be empty on this, and we're going to have a little break in just a little bit. I promise you, but only if I get at least 10 replies. Simplywall, what is this? I have no clue. I want to know more about Bitcoin this time. So if there are like people that want to do stuff on Bitcoin, is this maybe not even Bitcoin, right? But value of stocks, but or like not even Bitcoin, but any cryptocurrency, make confident investment. Amazing. So, but this is a blog, right? So what can we get? Is there like something like data behind it? I don't know. Just shout out more. Thanks, Robin, by the way. So what else? What are websites where you spend a lot of time? Oh, I need to search. So let me do this. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, it has a lot of structured data. And of course, you need to sign in. So I'm not going to do this right now. Yeah, so it's cool. Just go on. Not Robin. What are websites that you like to visit? And really think about this as something like, I want to learn about these things. Like, otherwise I get outdated. Give me some awesome websites that I can talk other, that I can share with other people, because I'm like too old to kind of discover them myself. What are platforms that you spend time on? Come on, Monday morning, no, Tuesday morning. It's not that early. My time goes to YouTube. So what could you study at YouTube, Wouter? I mean, I haven't spent so much time thinking about this. Something that I would love on YouTube is actually learning about tutorial videos. That's something I'm like personally interested. I think like I wouldn't have been able to learn and progress in skating, let's say 20 years ago, because YouTube wasn't as big or wasn't even around. And I didn't have access to people who could do it, right? So, but with tutorial videos on the web, I can like really, I can really advance. So what do tutorial videos do to, learning? And maybe like, who are the winners and losers in tutorial videos? Is it just like 5 superstars that are going to produce all of those videos, or is there actually room for like local talent, let's say a skater and then boss, or I don't know, in the Netherlands making the very same videos, and maybe even in Dutch, right? And maybe what you could observe is that most of these videos are in English because they want larger markets. I don't care. No, I do care, but I don't know the question. The question is something, or at least the data context is something that you need to come up with. Scrape the information on SERPs. I don't have a clue what SERPs are. What is this? Recommended videos. That's a cool one. What are SERPs? I need search engine result page. Yeah, some studies have been doing this. But yeah, maybe you find like new search result pages, not the ones at Google, but like other search result pages, like TikTok, right? What happens if you search something for TikTok? Do you get extreme stuff? Is extreme stuff more likely to pop up? Or is that cute cat more likely to pop up? Super relevant, super interesting to study.